you ready to be unleashed and unstoppable?
You're successful and stuck. Where are you burned out and standing in your own way? Are you ready to make your finances and your whole life work?
Are you ready to experience a breakthrough and step into your next level of leadership?
Living a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms, unapologetically.
You are where you are because of the way that you think. You are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your thoughts.
This podcast is about discovering how to play big, how to be unleashed and unstoppable.
Through wiring in your success at the source as you step into your full potential as a wildly ambitious leader.
We are Alex Leanne Carter, founder and CEO of Ambition Unleashed, and Carol Register, founder and CEO of Success Uniquely Yours.
Let's get unleashed and unstoppable.
Alex, I really appreciate how you've been able to slow down and how much you've allowed your daughter to help really define for you what getting off the hustle bus looks like and being on that doing cycle. Will you share with us just a couple of little stories about things that Abby has shown you?
After Abigail was born, I remember that I found myself oftentimes wishing I wish I had the 12-hour days like I used to, wishing I had more time. And the thing is, when you dive into productivity, you realize that one of the principles of productivity and time is that the time is really expansive. And if you keep wishing for more time, you're going to keep wanting more time. And it hit me one day when I caught myself thinking this, because I wanted Abigail. I mean, she is my world, and I build the business and do everything so I can be completely present and connected with her. And yet I often found myself like when you're kind of going from mom mode to CEO mode really, really quickly. Sometimes you get to have a second to just kind of ground yourself in the different roles that you wear. High achievers tend to wear a lot of hats. And finally, again, high achievers, we continuously do work in ourselves, really working on looking at leadership and doing a lot of leadership workshops and training. And what I realized in that moment was that, and you said something, Carol, before, was like defining it. Like that's who I used to be, but my new identity now as a mom and a wife and a CEO, like I get to define what that looks like, again, leading to identity. And so the challenge, which became fun, was like, okay, so if this is who I get to be, how do I now build my time around this, right? And embrace the new. We have different seasons of life. And even in a year like you, even for the listener here today, you might be thinking, it's summer coming up, right? So I know for me in summer, we like to travel. So for summer, my priorities are going to shift to create that availability to be able to be with my family, right? Talking about relationships, right? So really being present and connected, being able to switch off and be there and create that. And so that's another piece when we look at defining what success looks like to you, is looking at that on a variety of different areas of your life, looking at on an annual time, like where you're going to be focusing different energy, looking at different categories of your life and different relationships in your life. Because I know we're going to have Emily speak into relationships. A big thing when I looked at defining success was, what does a 10 out of 10 relationship look like for me and my husband? What does a 10 and 10 relationship look like for me and my daughter, my friends? And we always get to work at this. And it's that reminder and that check-in when you're really clear on what it is that you want to create, what success looks like to you in all these different areas of your life, is having that daily reminder, that daily check-in to see where are you and what's in the gap. Because as a high performer, you're totally going to aim for the 10 out of 10. And you get to give yourself grace that it might take time. And I think, Carol, the one thing you wanted me to speak into was watching my daughter. The determination, the sheer determination that I see in my daughter is unbelievable. And the thing that what I notice about her is that, first of all, she sees something that she wants, and then she watches. She learns from those that have created what is that she wants. In her case, it's climbing the playground. And she watches the older kids and she sits back, and it's amazing to watch her, how she sits back and takes in everything that they do. And then when she's ready, she goes, and she knows that I'm there to catch her when she falls. And I think what's so powerful, and then we spoke about this earlier too, about really being surrounded by your tribe that's going to support you in lifting you up holding you high and to catch you on those days. And being able to be reminded again of your vision and supporting you. One big shift that I had when we look at fears, and we also look at failure, this fear of failure. But when I was able to reframe the word failure from fail as in a bad thing, looking at fail as the teacher, just like the burnout, fail actually becomes the first attempt in learning. And what I noticed with my daughter, that's what she does every single time. She falls down and she looks at it another way, another angle to try it again and then again and again. Because my daughter hasn't developed this fear of failure yet. My daughter hasn't developed this fear. She just sees exactly what she wants. She watches those around her and she goes for it and she doesn't give up. I think it's just so important to be able to surround yourselves by individuals that are creating what it is that you want. Learn from those who have been before you. And that's why I love putting events like this together, because we have speakers who have experienced burnout. They've learned a lot. And now they're here to share their expertise on ways to avoid burnout or end burnout and neutralize the burnout so that we can all get off this crazy rat race and go cycle and actually be able to be present and have strong relationships and also be able to create that success and have this really fulfilled, guilt-free, right? Living life unapologetically on our own terms kind of life.
That you see where she gets up and goes again, and she trusts that you're going to be there for her and you're backing her up. We're not alone, and we get to put ourselves in communities of support. The learning and wisdom I get to do from you every day. Thank you so much. Emily, I'm so excited to introduce you. You are an author, an international speaker, a founder of Dating to Get Married. Talk about relationships, right? And your Dating to Get Married teaches single people the skills necessary to find their soulmate and create a love that lasts a lifetime. As a mechanical engineer turned dating coach, wow, you discovered the formula for helping long-lasting, loving relationship after healing from several incidents of intimate partner violence. Not only did you find the love of your life, but you created the Dating to Get Married program that has helped hundreds find their soulmate, most notably within the challenging constraints of a global pandemic. You are the best-selling author of Dating After Trauma, and your work has been featured in NBC, Fox, CBS, Marriage.com, Psychology Today, Her Campus National, and Adolescent. I am super excited to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys. It is an absolute pleasure to see you today. I always like to start everything with gratitude. Drop it in the chat if you are so happy that Carol and Alex has put this together for you. If you've learned something from one of the speakers, say, woohoo, yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you so much, Alex. This is really an incredible opportunity to speak to this group. And I just want to say thank you. Also, if you guys can drop it in the chat, just so I know how to tailor my pitch. Are you single? Are you in a relationship? Or are you married? Just drop one of those three in there so I can kind of tell who we're talking to. I'll just hold for just a second. Single, single, married, married. Good. Okay. I'm going to give you guys a tip that right off the bat that works for both of you guys, whether you're single or whether you're married. Every morning, I want you to spend 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Call someone, leave them a voicemail message, talk to them directly, put your hand on their back, tell them what you're grateful for or what you see in them that you think is really special. This morning, Carol, I left you a message. I think you're amazing. You have such a wonderful, kind heart. And meeting you in New York was one of the highlights of my trip. And I'm so thankful to be here. And I know you're going to rock your speech at the end of this conference. So you guys stay to the end because Carol is leading the caboose here and she's going to give you some valuable information that's going to change your life. So Carol was my gratitude today, but you can do that every day. Don't lose the opportunity because here's the coolest thing about giving gratitude to someone. Carol benefited, but so did I, and so did all of you listening. Your brain does not understand the difference between giving gratitude to Carol or giving gratitude to yourself or hearing gratitude for others. It feels good to hear good things. You're priming your brain for love and connection when you share those thoughts and say, wow, this is wonderful about you. I really like that experience with you. And also, people want to hang out with you more. Hey, I know I'm going to get a yummy treat, an emotional, fun treat when I hang out with Emily. She's fun to be around because she sees the awesome part of me. And I can be vulnerable with her because she is going to recognize that part and bring out the best in me. And that's what we're talking about today is soulmate relationships. These are best friends that encourage you and love you and want to be there and experience your life with you, the details of your life. I know we're talking about burnout today, but what solves burnout in dating and in relationships is having that vision for what you want to create and thinking about your specific actions that are either creating what you want or destroying it. And when it comes to love, from a science perspective, it's very clear. There are things you do, and in your brain, you will turn on chemical reactions that connect you to that person. Carol, are we good friends? Yeah. Have you enjoyed talking to me and working with me on this workshop? Yeah. And everyone here, have you heard the kindness in Carol's voice when she introduces these speakers? Do you hear how gentle she is and loving and kind and recognizing them as people and individuals? I hear it in her voice. I hear it in her. She's very careful, right? She's very paying attention to those details and sharing it out with the audience. And I directly connect with Carol because of that. Again, it's really easy to recognize what's special in your partner. Do that often. Do that a lot more than criticizing them. Because when we reward, they come out more. They connect more. They want to be more around you. And you have control over that. Guess what's the best way of having Carol hate me? Let me nitpick her. Let me tell her everything she's wrong. What is she going to do? Is she going to pull toward me or is she going to run away? Is she going to be extra careful with the information she shares with me because she knows I'm bitter and critical toward her? Again, your actions create the relationship. Carol is a wonderful person. Sorry, I know I'm picking on you a lot, Carol. You're probably like, wait a second. This is really good with the compliments, but now it's getting to the scary, vulnerable side. But I can have different types of relationships with Carol depending on how I set up that relationship and interact with her, how I manage my own emotional makeup and when I get triggered, what I choose to do in stress and how I relate to Carol will determine the quality of the relation I create with Carol. You are so much more powerful than you can possibly think in terms of your actions and your behaviors determining the outcome in a relationship. And when we stop and think, I'm not going to be reactive, I'm going to think about how do I express myself authentically to my partner without pissing him off, without destroying the relationship, in a way that actually gets them to like me more through conflict. Through conflict. Did you know conflict is a version of intimacy? Yeah. You fight with people and you tell them vulnerable things about yourself. There is a possibility that you grow more connected and more in love with that person when you fight with them, but you have to do it in the right way. You have to do it in a way that builds intimacy and connection. So that's just my little intro there. If you haven't figured out, I'm very specific. I'm very science-based. And I really like making it extra simple and easy for people to be successful in relationships. I specifically work with single people. I have worked with couples. I have worked with married people, but I prefer the singles. And let me tell you why. Get it right from the start. I looked at divorce. I looked at what they teach you when you're going through divorce therapy. It's a lot of skills. Unfortunately, if you've had a lot of history with that person and you're trying to learn those skills at the same time, the odds of you being successful are very low because you have to forgive that past history. And your brain has a huge database of painful moments associated with your partner's name. So trying to clean out that database and try a new skill at the same time isn't going to work because skills are scary. So you need to start before you get in that relationship, or if you're in a relationship, before you get married. There is a purpose to dating, and it's practicing skills. It's getting skills nailed, understanding exactly how to create a loving relationship with this person before you're committed for life, okay? Before you're financially dependent upon that other person for many reasons. And so learning these skills really takes the burnout of a relationship. Aha. I am not burnt to a crisp because I got in a fight with my partner. No, instead, I understand that if I approach my partner this way, I am so much more likely to get a positive result from that interaction. Skills can prevent burnout, but you have to learn them before you get into that fight with your partner, before you start dating someone. Now, very specifically, because Carol and Alex, they're wonderful people. They care about all of you guys. They want you guys to really get a lot out of this session. They've asked all our speakers to give you gifts, and I know the gifts are coming. But I'm talking today about a specific gift of that burnout in early dating. Now, of the people that are single, because I'm going to switch it now to the single people, I gave the married people their little piece, which is pay attention to how you approach your partner because it matters. But now we're going to talk about the single people in burnout. When we have single people and it's burnout, what's happening? We're continuously going on bad date after bad date, having bad experience, and it's getting frustrating and painful. What we need to do is, instead of date from the perspective of just, did this person feel good, is to have clear partner criteria. I have 4 traits for soulmates: empathy, maturity, appropriateness, and reciprocity. If your partner is displaying these traits, it means they're emotionally ready and open to a loving relationship with you. The cool thing about these traits is you can spot them early on. You don't have to date them for 6 months and go, what the heck was that? King chaos or queen drama. You can spot these things within just a couple of dates, 3 or 4 dates. And I'm going to give you an example. Empathy. This is understanding your part. When you go on a date, they should be asking you good questions. They should be trying to figure out your wants, your needs, your desires, your viewpoint on life. And if they're not asking good questions, they might be shy. It's okay to give them another chance. You can even prime the brain and give them a hint. Hey, I've asked you a lot of questions tonight. What about you? Do you have questions for me? But if they continuously talk about themselves and never ask you a good question, guess what? Don't date. They're not ready. They're not intellectually or emotionally in their heart in a place where they can form a loving relationship with someone. Does that make them a bad person? No. Maybe they need to get through something or get over something in order to open up and be healthy. But at that moment, with that interaction, if you continue dating them, you're going to experience burnout. It's not going to work out. So empathy is one. Maturity, and you go to the next one. This is how they handle conflict. Do they yell, scream? Do they ignore it? Do they say yes and don't do it? Or do they listen empathetically to your needs? Do they speak their truth in a kind way and then problem solve? Maturity equals problem solve. You need a good problem solver if you want to stay in a lifetime relationship with someone. You want to be able to get rid of that conflict and get rid of that awful feeling. You don't want to sacrifice your sense of self just to be in a relationship. And the skill of being able to fight effectively, that's what gives you that lifetime love. There's 2 others. I don't have time, but I do have the challenge. And so you can download these videos and watch them. It's absolutely free. It's a free gift. It's 3 days, the challenge. The second day is all about events and organizations. And I'm going to teach you how to be a wingman or wingwoman. Yeah, that's a skill. Being able to introduce someone and expand your social circles at events. There's cool scripts and things I can teach you. The last day is online dating. Okay, yeah. So here's the thing with online dating. There's a lot of people on there that don't want a relationship. They're on there for ego. They're on there because they're in a relationship, they hate it, and they want to just test the waters. They're in a marriage and they're just a cheater. They're a catfish and they financially want your money. And so experiencing those people is painful and frustrating, or they're just immature and they ghost you and they're flaky, the flakes. That's okay. There are people that do want a meaningful relationship, but you have to use the app effectively to attract them. So I have a specific message and it's tailored to you. You can fill in your blanks, but it attracts people that want a meaningful long-term relationship. But more importantly, repels. You can quickly tell when someone doesn't want that. And so my 3-day challenge, if you have skills, you won't have burnout. When you approach things either in early dating or in long-term relationships, when you experience pain and frustration, you can rely on a skill that gets you the outcome you want. You won't have burnout.
I would love to ask you about how you combine the neuroscience work that you do with your relationship program.
Absolutely. So I kind of hinted to it in my pitch, but here's the thing. Your brain, it's storing information. It's storing memories. And when you show up on that date, all your past memories are being projected on to that poor coffee date person, right? So if they use a word you dislike, like, aha, you're just like Alex, or aha, you're just like Mary. Basically, you're projecting onto a person and you're not really actually meeting them authentically. So understanding how your memories and that past story you've made up for yourself about who you are and your capability of being in a loving relationship, that directly affects your ability literally to have the chemical reaction in your head to say, this is love. Your thoughts dictate chemical reactions in your brain that dictate feelings. Change your thoughts, get different behaviors, get different outcomes, different reactions in your brain, and be able to create a loving relationship that lasts. Does that help out?
Thank you for that. That is amazing. And just knowing that changing our thoughts changes those chemical reactions is so powerful. And this is the work that Alex, Leanne, and I do, and such an important component. And I really love your message about skills preventing burnout and being able to practice and giving us that tip about gratitude. I mean, you lit my heart up today with your messages. And yeah, I want to hang out with you, Emily. I mean, you're amazing. I've been sharing that with Alex, Leanne all along. I'm like, awesome, man. We got to get together with her. This is great. And you're creating that with the actions that you're taking and telling us how simple that is. So I really deeply appreciate you and have great gratitude for you and for all of our speakers today. Does anybody have any questions for Emily?
I have a question, Emily, because I know I spoke to a couple members in the audience as well prior to today, because I was really excited that we were going to have sort of a relationship burnout specialist on here with us. And the question really is around, it is tying around the burnout and married couples with children, right? Like any signs to look out for, or again, when you're talking about the skills, I mean, I can speak into high performance and translate that to relationships, but given the fact that you've got that understanding, that background, what would you advise, or some skills or some support you would share with our audience who, especially with younger children, and aren't able to kind of talk about filling the cup up, right? Like, it's so important that we fill up the cup in all areas of our lives. And sometimes when it comes to relationship and that kind of piece with children and with all the things that are going on, yeah, it's not always, it's a priority, right? And so I'm just curious to know what you would say to the audience into that.
Sure. I'm gonna have two pieces of advice. First, I'm gonna address the kids themselves. So kids are gonna want to steal the scene. They're gonna want your attention. And if you're not giving attention, they're gonna act out and they're gonna get angry until they get your attention. So making sure, again, getting on their level, telling them what you're grateful for about them. I oftentimes stop my son and I will tell him, before you complain, what are you grateful for? I will hear your complaint, but I want you to say something grateful first. And the reason why is you're training the kid to have more emotional stability. I think of being a mom as I'm growing his brain. I'm setting him up for success later in life. And so I need to make sure that I teach him how to be a great problem solver and how to think with empathy. And so asking him in the height of being emotionally flooded, take a breath, tell me one thing you're grateful for about your dad. I like that daddy takes me to baseball games. Okay, great. Now, why are you upset? I don't want daddy to da-da-da-da. Okay, good sharing, right? But getting them to have that balanced view of their father, because a lot of things with the kids, it's like right now, right in this instant, I hate you, right? I want you to hit a memory where you were in love with dad. Now go for the criticism. Make the criticism just as behavior, not who he is as a person. So that's teaching him how to problem solve more effectively in a dynamic. Also, just take a deep breath. I want to hear what you have to say, but I can't hear it when you're yelling. Take a deep breath. Always bring him back out of the amygdala into the prefrontal cortex. Again, most kids, their prefrontal cortex takes a while to grow. It's not going to be overnight, not until they're like 19 years old till it fully comes in. But every time you're teaching them a skill, you're growing that part of their brain. Now, with the husband, it is so important to prime your brain for sex and romance and connection. It's not going to just happen. And it's so easy for people to get into a roommate situation with their partner where they just are dealing to-do lists and trying to get things done, that they forget to slow down and connect with that person. And it is a shift. It doesn't happen like that. You have to prime your brain to say, okay, I'm shifting into a date with my husband or my wife or my significant other. I am going to make sure that the environment is telling me it's no longer a to-do list right now. This is settling into my body and feeling my body with my partner and experiencing my partner in a romantic, sexual way. And it's okay if you have resistance to that. The resistance isn't about him or her. The resistance is about wanting to always do. We're talking about burnout here. Burnout is always wanting to be in do mode and not experience mode. You need to learn how to shift. Both are important. And especially shift with your loved one. Shift into experience mode. Really quickly, I'm going to do my chocolate experiment. Everyone loves this one. On one hand, you have a piece of chocolate, artisan chocolate from Belgium. It's in a beautiful golden wrapper. You unwrap that piece of chocolate, silver, you can hear it crinkling. The smell wafts up. It's gorgeous. As you pick it up, it slightly melts in your hand. And then you put it in your mouth and you feel salt, caramel, all sorts of notes of the chocolate. And it's an amazing experience. This is the artisan chocolate hand. This hand is a Hershey's wrapper. There's no chocolate in it. You look down and go, where'd the chocolate go? Did I really just eat that whole bar of chocolate and never even experience that chocolate? Yeah, you did. How are you dating your husband or partner? Are you slowing down and treating them like that artisan chocolate? Are you tasting, touch, smell, sight, every sense of your body experiencing your loved one? Are you woofing it down like a Hershey's piece of chocolate, not even connecting in the process of experiencing them? Do this one. Everything in life gets better when you treat it like that artisan chocolate. Now, some of you guys may be going, but wait, I don't like experiencing some of my emotions and body sensations and feelings. I don't want to turn or amp that up. Okay, let's do it again. Now we're using spoiled milk. Okay, artisan chocolate hand. The spoiled milk is on the counter. You can see it's lumpy and blue and gray and it's horrible. As you walk up to the chocolate, you get that whiff, that mold whiff. You have the sensation of grabbing that spoiled milk. It's warm. It's not even cold anymore. Is there any chance you're going to take one sip of that? No way. No way. Okay. The other hand, Hershey Chocolate's hand, you're running home from work. You open that kitchen refrigerator. There's a jug of milk and nothing else. you forgot to go shopping and you're starving. You open that lid and you chug it down. You're at least 3 gulps in till you start spitting that up into the sink, washing your mouth out with water as fast as you can. Our body sensations give us critical information that helps us lead our best life. It's never a mistake to feel. Feeling improves your decision making. Don't be afraid to feel. Be afraid to feel and not act, or be afraid to act without feeling, but don't be afraid to feel. Okay, so in wrap up, treat your husband like an artist, or wife, or partner, life partner, as an artisan piece of chocolate. Remember to train the brain of your child so that they're an awesome communicator and problem solver. That's it.
Thank you, Emily. No, that was extremely, extremely helpful. And I love how you even had to slow down and almost taste the caramel and the saltness of the artisanal chocolate. So thank you so much for that invitation. And that's it. It's the slowing down to experience and enjoy and connect with our loved ones. So thank you, Emily. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.